Likely the last rain of spring here in the Bay Area, falling on my lettuce crops. They are so beautiful. They absolutely love the rain. I love the lettuce. I have most of the rows exposed at this point. I've stopped feeding and watering the little birds in the neighborhood, so they left town. They're off somewhere else, and they're leaving my lettuce alone. Previously, if I tried to grow the lettuce out in open ground, they would peck it to the stump. Absolutely gorgeous. This is Tom Thumb. That's a little midget heirloom. This is a really cool lettuce. And over there I've got endive mixed with deer tongue and some salad bowl. We had 4/10 of an inch of rain overnight. That's quite a bit of water for us to have that at this time of the year. So everything's vibrating out here, including the gardeners, me. I'm all happy about the water because I was going to have to turn the irrigation on. And today I have just this and that. And we got a bitch of this and that out here in the garden. So one of my first surprises was my cabbages. As I strolled around, I noticed I have cabbages right here that were part of an older planting. They've been in about 2 weeks longer than the cabbages that are next to them. The younger cabbages are over here under the floating row cover. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pull the cover off of the top of these plants and take a look at this. Even I was excited about it. I mean, my, oh my, just have a look at that. The cabbages under the cover are about 2 weeks younger than the ones next to them, and they're much larger. Take a look right down here. Here's the older plants. There's the younger plants right there. Now the only difference really between these two rows of cabbage is the fact that I used a floating row cover to protect cabbages from the birds on that row. Over here in this row I used bird scare tape. See it dangling on little poles above. Keep the birdies out. Well, we got an unintended consequence, and that's that the floating row cover went ahead and warmed the cabbages up, so they grew probably almost twice the rate of speed of the others. I think that's pretty incredible. Generally, I have to put all my lettuce and other green leafy crops out here under these row covers because the sparrows and the finches and everything will just tear them up. So the unintended consequence of using Agribon number 15 as a cover over crops is warms it up. Crops grow faster under the cover. It's like fertilizer. So over on the far end of the garden with my cabbages, I left the clover standing. On this end of the garden, I recently went through, trimmed all the clover by hand, and put it down into the walk rows as a mulch. I can kind of see the clover plants starting to grow back up through the brown mulch, but we just mulched the walk rows with the clover, and then I went through and set pepper plants between the onions and put in some zucchini and eggplants and a few other things out there. But here's how I'm managing my perennial clover cover crop. Inside my greenhouse, I'm just about done moving out all of the summertime vegetables, so most of the tomatoes are out of here, the eggplants have left, I only have so many chilies left in here and so on. So we get kind of a dull space and time in the greenhouse. I was starting to get blueberries. They were turning ripe on my bushes, and I maybe, had a dozen or more nice purple berries. And then I was eating dinner the other day, looked out the window, and here came a mockingbird flying in low. He snagged berries off my plants and took off with them, and it angers me. It's hard to control the mockingbirds, and You can cover berries with nets, you can cover them with agribond, you can build boxes and put wire around it or whatever you're going to do. But I found for me it's easier that I grow my blueberries in containers, because if you live in the western U.S., then you know what I'm talking about. The soil tends to be kind of high in pH, neutral to alkaline. Well, blueberries like acid soils. And so putting them in containers using an azalea mix made from fir bark and peat moss are really much happier in the pots than they are growing in our native earth most of the time. I also found that if I have them in pots when the berries start to ripen, I can move them inside the greenhouse because the tomatoes are gone. And so every year I bring the blueberries inside where they're protected from the birds, and I can ripen them to perfection and pick them at my leisure in here. It's really quite comfortable. It's also easier for me to pick because I don't have to bend over to the bushes. The bushes are up on the benches. So safe, tucked inside my greenhouse. You can see I have a beautiful crop of nice little green blueberries here. As I said, I actually had some purple ones on the plants until the mockingbird found them. But that was my signal to bring them inside and protect them from the birds. This works out really nice because they're right here, at face level. Easy to pick. I'm using dwarf plants. There's Misty and Sunshine are in these containers. They're southern low bush types. They work pretty well out here on the west coast. The low chill. The plants aren't too big, and so it's a little easier to pick these dwarf plants when they're up on top of a bench here in the greenhouse. And again, safe, away from the birds. This is a ticket. So there you have a little bit of this and that out in Bill's garden. As I said, everything's vibrating today. Had a little bit of rain. Super cool. We love it when it rains in California because it seems like it never does. Well, that's what's happening out here. Hope you enjoyed the little trip. Happy gardening.